Welcome to Attenuation, a weekly podcast where two friends come together to drink beer, discuss beer styles and trends, and just generally ruminate on the meaning of life, aka beer. If you enjoy your time with us, we invite you to become a weekly listener and subscribe to the podcast. Without further ado, here is this week's episode.
Hello, and welcome to episode 83 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
Hello.
How are you today, sir?
So good. So excited.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a fun episode.
What are we doing today?
Oh, you're going to let me introduce it? You want me to do it? Oh. Well, today we're going to be talking about what is now our favorite brewery, Dogfish Head, and the history, and we'll talk about some of the beers they make and how kind of weird and off-centered they are, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's a deep dive.
Deep dive, Dogfish Head Brewery.
Yep, and like always, what always happens is like when we do a bunch of research on a brewery or a beer style, we decide it's like the coolest.
Yeah, we fall in love, of course.
It's happened again.
All right.
But before we get to the main topic, we have to do our favorite segment, which is the drinking beer segment. So the way this works is I introduce my beer, give some nose notes, Steven does the same, and then we cheers and give our tasting notes.
Let's do it. I have a big beer.
Wait, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a little story first. After our talk last week, I went in search of Parabolita.
You've just been hanging out outside the grocery store.
Doing what Steven
past
does.
week.
Yeah. Scouring the beer aisle every day. So I went to the fancy beer store, and I noticed something disturbing, Steven.
Yeah? Okay.
The hard seltzer section is larger than it was last time.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't like that.
I know.
It's intruding on my craft beer section.
I know. I have a grocery store like right down the street, and then that same grocery store chain has one right by my work, and the one by my work, that's definitely been happening. And they've all historically had a pretty good craft beer section, and it's getting worse and getting smaller, and it's getting pushed out by a lot of that other stuff, especially hard seltzers.
That's what I was gonna say is so the main, it's like one whole aisle, and it's not like they replaced one section with seltzer, and it's not like they added another section. It's just They just took a chunk out of craft beer.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, the one by my house has not been that way, and they've actually gotten their craft beer selection keeps getting better. So sometimes with this grocery store chain, it's very, very geographical, so it just kind of depends on where it is, and apparently there's a lot more craft beer lovers where I live.
I guess so.
In and around my house.
Yeah, just keep shopping at that grocery store.
I know, right? Yeah.
So anyways, I went to go look for that beer, and I didn't find it, but I finally got a number of things that I've been putting off. I got the People's Pilsner.
Finally.
I got Two Hearted Ale.
Cool.
And I got the beer I'll be drinking tonight, which I have on good authority is excellent. I have Great Notions Overripe, which you said you think cracks your top 10.
Nice. Okay, so you haven't had it yet.
I haven't had it.
First time. Okay.
And because I'm in their distribution center, first of all, they had a bunch of Great Notion beers, but also I was checking the dates on all of them, and this was canned 9/9.
Dang,
so
that's good.
It's less than 2 months old. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah.
So this is a New England IPA, 7%. And like Steven covered, it has mangosteen in it.
Yeah.
I'm surprised this wasn't $20 because mangosteen.
Yeah, if you don't know what mangosteen is, look it up. It's a weird exotic fruit that cures all ailments. And if you want some, I'll sell some to you.
Yeah, multi-level marketing.
And if you like it and it helps you, you can start selling it yourself to your friends.
This is beautiful. It looks like pineapple. It looks like
I know, it's gorgeous, right?
Pineapple juice. It's like this really golden yellow, and then it has a really thick, massive bubble head that I poured this beer way too fast. It's never gonna go.
It's okay. It's a healthy head.
It smells like like a tropical fruit juice. Like the fruit flavors are intense. Mango, pineapple, papaya, orange, like just super, super, super powerful tropical fruit smells. And then maybe, oh my gosh, this smells incredible. I can barely, it doesn't smell like beer at all, to be honest. Okay, I'm going to let this head dissipate while you introduce your beer.
Awesome. Okay, well, I have a really fun one too, on topic. So, one of the beers that we wanted to try, but just could not do at the beer festival was Utopias, which is Sam Adams' crazy 23% stout that they age in multiple different barrels and all this stuff. So anyway, that's a crazy beer. Well, one of the good things about Dogfish Head and Sam Adams merging, which we'll get into later, one of the benefits of that is that Sam Adams sent over to Dogfish Head a bunch of the barrels that they aged the Utopias in, and Dogfish Head used those barrels to age their worldwide stout. So I have Utopias barrel aged worldwide stout from Dogfish Head.
Dude, where did you get that?
I can't remember actually. I think I just got it at the grocery store. Yeah, it was a while ago. I've had this actually close to a year maybe.
What's the ABV on that?
17.2%.
I hope you don't have to work tomorrow.
I do not. I knew you were going to like that.
That is no joke.
And I was super good. I took this out of the fridge almost an hour ago. So,
oh, good. It's warmed up.
Yeah, so it says to serve it at 55 degrees. I'm not really sure what temperature I'm serving it at, but certainly not at 38, which was what it was in the fridge. So
now is it like motor oil?
It's pouring, very jet black with a very fast dissipating head, almost like a cola carbonation, but the head did not remain. There's just no head. So very opaque, black, but it didn't pour thick.
Yeah, it doesn't look thick.
No.
For some reason I thought it would be thick.
In body.
What does it smell like?
It smells like hard alcohol.
I bet it's 17%.
Yeah, it smells kind of like a coconut rum almost, with like hints of chocolate and espresso. Maybe just a touch of raisin.
Mm-hmm. Dark fruits.
Okay, wish me luck.
Godspeed on that one, Stephen.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh, this is it's really good. First of all, I'm having trouble considering it an IPA. It's more like it's like a milkshake IPA or like a fruited sour almost, but it's really good. The array of tropical flavors is insane. It's got everything. I feel like I'm tasting mango, papaya, like ripe pineapple, like almost like the flavor of like fresh pineapple, orange, grapefruit. Yeah, it's all in there. It's crazy. There might be even like a little bit of strawberry even. And then there is actually, to be fair, there is like a very minor dusting of like bitter hops and at the end. But man, it's mostly just fruit. But it's really good. It's actually kind of complex because like I feel like there's just this like all these fruits are hitting you at the same time. It's kind of how you described it. Yeah. But and then it's it's got a little like astringent, like it dries your mouth out a little bit at the end. It's super carbonated, which isn't really a bad thing. And then it's almost like it's a tiny bit like on the heavier body side almost like thick a little bit. I would definitely give it a thumbs up. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very unique. Like I don't think I've ever had a beer like this before. But yeah, it's really good.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Okay, cool.
How is your Utopias?
It's really, really good, and I'm really surprised that I like this beer so much. But it's so good. Like, it's got this is how I'm gonna put all the flavors together to describe this, because I'm getting like dark chocolate, coffee, almond, coconut, a little bit of oak, and then definitely some like rum, maybe bourbon sweetness, kind of bouncing between these two alcohols. But yeah, I feel like they took like a dark chocolate almond joy and just like dipped it in bourbon, dipped it in rum, and then made me eat it.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really good. And then this is like, definitely the alcohol is there. There's definitely a warming alcohol burn at the end, but it's pleasant. Like, it's actually good.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I was a little bit worried about how strong it was if it would have like a big alcohol burn, but
Yeah, no, it's there. It's for sure. I mean, I don't think you can hide it at that point, but it's not unpleasant. Like, I actually really like it. So,
okay, fair enough. Cool.
yeah.
I think you're a stout drinker now, Steven, for sure.
Apparently.
I think if you drank that beer when you first bought it, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure you would like it as much as you do today.
Well, I like it now.
Welcome.
It'd be fun to do that side by side with Parabola, because I think they're similar.
Okay. Well, now you got to
Yeah.
find a parabola. Good luck.
Dude, I'm gonna be smashed after this one beer, though.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get fun.
Whew.
All right.
I
Very
can like feel myself getting drunk already.
good. You're like 2 sips in.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. Might be maybe it's all in my head, but
It's all on that 17.
all right, so what do we got next?
We got
Oh,
postscript.
okay, so 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up day. And last week was a 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, we really had to make up for that.
Yeah, so I'm glad we got good beers this week. Okay, so next we have postscripts, where we fix things from previous episode. We have beer news, where we talk about beer news, and we have story time with Steve. It's our triple segment. So I already covered some of my beer news. I basically went and found a bunch of really good beers. I got Intinction also from Russian River, so I'm excited about that. But yeah, just kind of checked out. There's definitely Two Hearted Ale is finally stocked up. The first time I went, I think it was totally sold out. But they have it in like tall cans. So I got some of that. I finally broke down and bought the People's Pilsner, tried it. And I can see why it won the gold. It's kind of reminds me of, what's the Goza that you really like that wins the gold?
Kolschans or Rubens?
Yeah,
What are
it's
they?
kind of like that. It's like this Pilsner is like perfect. And I kind of thought about what we kind of talked about before, is like when you make something like a Pilsner, there's like nowhere to hide. Like it needs to be
Yes.
perfect because it's so, there's not a lot to it.
Right.
And this one's perfect. Like it's just the perfect balance. And I can see why it won gold. Yeah. I think it won gold twice. So again, I had to buy a 6-pack. So, but I'll drink the rest of them.
It's a good, like, yeah, it's a good end of the day.
Yeah.
Don't want to drink something that challenges you, or you're eating like spicy food or something.
Yes. Spicy food is the way to go. I don't know. I'm such like a experience seeker. I like don't want to drink the same beer 6 times.
I know. I understand.
Yeah.
I have some beers in my fridge right now that are like in the back, like looking up over the other beers, like, hey bro, you ever gonna drink me again? Like, probably not.
No. You're like, sorry, I got all these fun like Utopia's beers in here.
Don't worry, I'll pour you out when I
Oh,
when I
no,
run
but I need
out of room.
That's brutal.
Try to give
But
it to
then-
people when they come over.
Yeah. Get like, people to drink it.
They're like,
but then I
why
drink
is this
too hard.
beer a year old?
Well, you gotta give it to people that don't know the difference.
Yeah. Okay, so Two Hearted. How was Two Hearted?
Two Hearted was good. It's a classic. So you kind of have to remember that. Like, it's super solid. And I think when it came out, I don't know when they started brewing it, but I'm sure like when it came out.
Okay, remember I call those legacy beers.
Yeah, that's a good name for it. It's a legacy beer. So like,
Sierra Nevada, Pliny the Elder, Stone IPA.
so it was added to Beer Advocate. I don't know if that's when they first brewed it, in 2001. So it's at least 21 years old. So
Yeah.
you have to remember when you drink a beer like that, like when it came out 20 years ago, it was mind blowing how good it was, because it was just a different era. I think it is still very, very, very good. It's got that like perfect balance where, and it's very like West Coast IPA. So it's got that hitter. It's got you get the malt, you get the pretty bitter hop punch, and then you get like the grapefruit, the pretty more pine, more subdued tropical flavors. Like it's nothing like what I'm drinking right now. This is like a cornucopia of tropical flavors, and you're just not gonna get that from these. Maybe what do you call them, legacy or
legacy beers?
Yeah, you're not gonna get that from a legacy beer. But that being said, it's excellent. It's very good.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like the beers that had to be made to even have the other beers we drink now. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's like classic movies. It's like it's the foundation that everything is built on top of. So sometimes when you go back and watch a classic movie, or you drink like one of these legacy beers, if you compare it to like current.
Yeah, it's like, oh, these graphics are terrible, or these special effects are terrible, or whatever, and it's like. No, like they were state of the art in their day.
Yes, and they paved the way for everything that's possible now. So
yeah, they like pushed boundaries at the time. So yeah, those are my legacy beers for sure.
Yeah, but I'm pretty excited because it does seem like they had a bunch in the grocery store, so now I can just kind of pick it up anytime. And I got, again, keeping in mind I should take more advantage of the fact that I can just buy Pliny the Elder anytime. I grabbed a bottle of that too, so.
I hate you so much.
I know. I had Two Hearted Ale in one hand and Pliny the Elder in the other hand.
Okay, can we talk about another thing?
Yeah.
So I'm obsessed with the Pacific Market. It's in Midtown Sacramento, and I just discovered this place on Instagram. And it's like this really weird little corner market store.
It's like yellow. It's painted like yellow.
Yeah, it's like bright yellow and pink and green, like very bright colors, and they have the craziest craft beer selection I've ever seen. I mean, they post like my beer shop that's like dedicated to like the best craft beers does not have even close to the craft beer selection this place has. Like every day they post what they have on Instagram. I'm just like, what? So they posted Trillium beers the other day. Trillium.
I know. I was gonna try to go. But work was really busy today, but maybe, two things need to happen. I need to get paid because I have no money. And then I need to take off work like an hour early because it took me like an hour and 15 minutes to get home today in traffic. So that was not a day that I was going to do like an extra stop. I think if I can sneak out of work like an hour early, I can just stop on the way home and just see what they have.
Yeah. Yeah, I was blown away. I was like, Trillium, I didn't even think that stuff went out of... He's got like a special hookup or something.
He probably does.
Yeah, it's insane. So anyway, I'm very jealous.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know when I go. I'll see what I can get.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So you got your People's Pilsner, your Two Hearted, finally.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both good. They lived up to the hype.
They lived up to the hype.
Okay. Well, I have a very exciting announcement for a beer that I should be able to get my hands on. Toppling Goliath. It's well documented that I love Pseudo-Sue, their hazy pale ale. That's on the edge of being an IPA. They also brew and it's all Citra hopped ale. They brew a double IPA version of their all Citra hopped ale called King Sue. So those two beers have been some of my favorites for a long time. Well, they just announced that they're releasing a Seismic Sue, which is their triple IPA version of Pseudo-Sue King Sue. So they finally did it. I kind of like have always wondered why they didn't go the triple route as well. Because why not? A lot of breweries do it. And they finally did it.
I want to try that so bad. Are they now? Is that going to get distributed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And they have pretty good Texas distribution. So I'm pretty sure my beer shop will get it for sure. If no one else does, he'll get it. So
I've never seen Toppling Goliath in the grocery store, but if I go to Total Wine, they'll have it.
Yeah.
So I might have to do a Total Wine trip for that.
My grocery store does have it. I never buy it because it's always like 6 months old.
It's old? Yeah.
It's always old. So I'm hoping if I just like look out for this Seismic Sue, especially at the beer shop, then I'll know I'm getting hopefully a pretty fresh batch.
Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes open to see if we get it in. It's called Seismic Sue.
Seismic Sue. You know the other thing is when I see it at the grocery store, it's not in the fridge.
Really?
Yeah,
That's a little
terrible.
frustrating. Yeah. All right, cool. So that is our postscripts, beer news, and story time with Steve, and we can go into our main topic.
Oh, I'll tell a story.
Oh, you do have a story time with
Yeah, I
Steve.
have a story. I just
Okay.
thought of one.
Okay.
I get to toot my own horn a little bit. Mostly because I feel like I always have imposter syndrome. Basically in everything I do, but definitely this podcast and craft beer in general. But I had one of my directors at work. He was at some conference in Nashville, I think, or Memphis, somewhere in Tennessee. And he stopped me and he was like, "Oh, hey, I drank this. I'm the beer person at work." So he's like,
Don't
"Hey,
say.
yeah." He goes, hey, I drank this beer when I was in Tennessee, and I can't remember what it was. But they said it was like really good, and I was like, oh, I don't know that many beers from Tennessee, but there's this one called Home Styles from Bearded Iris. And he's like, oh, I have a picture of it, and shows me. He's like, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the Bearded Iris IPA, and it was just awesome because he was like, dang, how did you know that?
Did your imposter syndrome fade away?
For a brief second, I was like, wow. I mean, at least
That guy
I
definitely thinks that guy's definitely like, oh, this guy is the beer guy. Holy cow.
I mean, luckily, I knew. Luckily, it was Tennessee, and there's one really, really good brewery in Tennessee, and it wasn't like a total shot in the dark. But yeah, it was I probably just seen it on Tavour a few times or something. But yeah, I just like felt so cool that I named the beer like the one beer he tried from Tennessee.
That's really awesome.
But anyway, I felt very cool, but was just lucky, probably.
Nah, I don't think so.
But I'm impressed. My craft beer knowledge is expanding,
Your craft beer
and
knowledge is pretty good, Steven.
and I can talk to beer from a lot of different states, which is kind of cool. So
I mean, we talked about this before, but I think it was like on episode 1. But we really had a Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi moment where like you exceeded my beer powers, and you were like, "I'm the master now."
you realize, like, damn, this guy's way more obsessed than I will ever.
Well, just the other day, I was like, I don't know if it was on the last episode or if I was texting you, because I always text Steven and ask him questions about beer. And he was like, oh, yeah, they're in whatever, Michigan or whatever. And I was like,
Oh yeah.
How
I was
do you
pretty.
know that?
Yeah, I was proud of that one too. Actually,
Yeah. So I think your beer knowledge is pretty powerful.
I think I just have a good photographic memory, and if I see something written once, then
Gotcha. It's locked in.
yeah.
All right. So now we want to do our deep dive.
Yeah. Now we'll humble ourselves by not knowing anything about Dogfish Head.
I knew so little about Dogfish.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a quote.
Okay.
It's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, which is somewhat near and dear to my heart because I didn't go to Emerson Junior High. But it was named that Emerson Junior High was one of the junior high schools in my city, and it was named after Ralph Waldo Emerson. Where were we? Holmes. Oliver Wendell Holmes.
Oliver Wendell.
Our schools were named after poets.
Yep.
But anyway, there's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote that says, "Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. He who would gather immortal palms must not be hindered by the name of goodness. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind." And that's one of the quotes that inspired Sam Calagione of Dogfish Head in sort of his innovation and his attempts to just do things that don't conform to the norm. And that sort of quote, that was like too long to print on the bottle. So they kind of whittled that down to off-centered ales for off-centered people. So that's kind of their motto. And that's what we're going to kind of talk about today, is how they got to that point and how they make a lot of off-centered beers, and they've basically gotten famous by making some weird stuff.
Actually, I want to start with a quote as well.
Okay, go for it.
So I have a quote from Sam himself that's similar. He says, "We try to come up with our own inspirations. There's a lot of breweries who can make a good run of it for 10, 20, sometimes even 25 years by being fast followers. You can just draft in the bicycling sense behind the leaders and make a living out of being a fast follower, but it never really excited me. I'd rather take risks and go for it and do some exotic things." So yeah, definitely not one to be a follower. And I like that. I don't know if he was a cycler, but that draft reference, I don't know if you've ever been cycling like in a, I guess they call it a peloton or what?
Yeah, peloton. Yeah.
Yeah, if you get behind, if you're behind even just one bike, but if you're behind like a big group of bikes, there's almost this effect. It almost feels like suction, like they're pulling you, because there's almost like it just cuts down so much on the air resistance. So I kind of like that quote, and I like that analogy of like you can just kind of duck in behind someone that's making something super successful and just kind of copy it and that will work for a while. But if you're just following whatever's the hottest trend, what are you really? You're just like, I don't know, you're just a copier.
Yeah. You ever see the picture of the like little Geo Metro inches away from a semi, like tailgating a semi?
No.
But like basically riding the draft of the semi and using like no gas.
That's awesome.
I mean, just hope that the semi doesn't slam on their brakes.
Yeah, you're gonna get splattered.
Yeah, exactly. And I think probably a funny example is the first beer that he ever brewed.
Yeah.
He like had a kit to make a pale, like just a basic pale ale. And on his way home, and he was in New York City at the time, on his way home, he saw these cherries being sold, and they were like very, very overripe, about to spoil basically. So he got them super cheap, and he was like, yeah, I'm going to brew this beer, but I'll just put these cherries in the beer as well, just to try it out. It's like, you made a cherry pale ale? What?
I love how, like, it really was foreshadowing the brewery he would create. That on his very first time trying to brew something from, like, a kit, he was like, I'm going to modify it. Like,
yeah.
You've never even brewed a beer before, and you're already like, I'm going to add something that's, not recommended.
Yeah, and then what's even funnier, too, is to, like, brew that beer, and it be, like, I don't know, maybe it was decent, maybe it was decent enough, and he's like, I'm going to do this forever.
He's brewed one beer. He's like, this is my life.
And then actually, it was great because in an interview, he said that the next few beers he brewed were pretty bad. But he's like, no, I got to keep doing it because I already said I was going to be I already told my friends I'm going to be a brewer.
He's got a safe face.
So we got to keep making it better. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just such a great example of the brewer he became. Ultimately, was just trying different things, trying new things, and weird things. So in 1995, he opened Dogfish Head Brewing and Eats in Rehoboth, Delaware. I think that's how you say it. Dogfish Head, that name comes from an area. It's like a area on the coast, and a street name called Dogfish Head. So that's where he got that name in Delaware. And it was Delaware's first brew pub and the smallest commercial brewery in the United States. And
they were not joking when they said that.
Yeah, what size brews were they?
They were doing 12-gallon batches with propane burners. So it said when they had got up to, like, they were doing steady business to keep up with demand, they were brewing. It says 3 times a day, 5 times a week.
He's like literally a commercial home brewer. Like, that is like a homebrew setup.
And he's like running a restaurant with it.
Yeah, running a restaurant, running a brew pub with a homebrew setup.
It's pretty awesome. But he said the advantage of that was that they could experiment, because you're just doing like You're doing 5 batches a day. Like, just be crazy. Because the worst thing that happens is you make 12 gallons of a bad beer. It's not a very big risk.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
For sure.
Pretty cool.
Well, and two, at the time, like, whatever he's putting out there and serving, nobody's going to be ready for it anyway. Right? At the time, like, you know, he was really inspired by beers like Sierra Nevada and, you know, breweries that were making beers that kind of, you know, he's always hated the American lager for sure, and all the sort of what the Reinheitsgebot gave us, which was just basic homogenized beer.
And Dogfish Head is almost like second, you know, we always use that like coffee wave thing.
Oh yeah, like first wave, second wave.
It's like second wave, because remember, Sierra Nevada is 1980, so this is 15 years after Sierra Nevada. So definitely like one of the dominant old school breweries, but not really one of the first. Yeah. But yeah, definitely, like, to the point of you know, these beers he's like presenting to the public, even as weird as they are, like basically anything you brew is not a basic basic lager is going to be weird to the people, right? Like, everyone's trying to get a palate for these and understand these. So I think it was a good time to be able to take risks as well. A friend of mine is opening a bar in town, and I was kind of a like a tap room kind of thing. You know, he's gonna have like it's gonna be a restaurant, but there's gonna be you know 50 different craft beer taps, right? And I was talking to him about like, oh, we need a brewery in this part of town, you know, and he's like, yeah, like, this is gonna be a brewery feel, but it's so hard to be a brewery, you know, like you have to make good beer, and you like that's how you got to get people in. Whereas if you just have a big tap wall, you can get all the best beers and put them on tap. That's a good point.
People will be happy. So that's kind of like one of the big differences now, because craft beer is so good and there's so much good beer out there that to break in as a new brewery is a lot harder than to say, let's just open a restaurant.
Yes.
And just get some good accounts and serve the best beers, right? So I
feel like the real move is like you do that, you get established, and then you get like a very small commercial brew setup, and you just like take over. You know, you have like 40 beers on tap, and then you just commit like 5 to like what you're making, which is really cool, because you can draw people in with the renowned stuff, but then you could slowly build up your own market.
Yeah, and you definitely see that like breweries have guest taps. You know, and they pour some other stuff, so they have not just their stuff, but
there's a pretty good
more established breweries.
Monterey has a pretty cool brewery like that. They make their own beer, but they also pour like 30 or 40 beers, and they have actually I don't even know if they have that much on tap, but what they have is this insane like bottle selection.
Yes, yeah, I've been there too. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool. It's like you kind of the best of both worlds. Like you go in, you get a really rare bottle of beer, and then you drink like whatever they're making. Yeah. Cool.
Probably I don't know if BJ's. I guess BJ's has probably other stuff. Probably not a lot of craft stuff other than their own.
Their line.
Probably some of the other macros you can get. If you don't get their stuff, but
BJ's beer is actually pretty good though.
Yeah, but yeah, same idea. Like have lots of other stuff and then have your stuff as well. I just thought that was interesting. So, but in contrast to like the time when Sam Calagione opens his brew pub, kind of just serve good food and then just serve your beers and just like let them catch on, you know, like maybe they're weird or sometimes, or maybe they're not amazing, but at the time you're blowing people's minds. So.
Yeah. And I have another quote from Sam, actually, like a pretty recent quote, and it's almost like to contrast just how much the beer scene has changed. And well, they opened in 1995, so 27 years, so you know, a quarter of a decade. But
yeah,
he said, you know, now we have 7,000 breweries, and all of them are, you know, looking for the next thing, experimenting, and so it's just getting harder and harder to find. He says the white spaces where no one else is playing. He says 10 to 15 years ago, I wouldn't even have to think about it. But now it's like everyone's doing everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even the sort of weird ingredient thing is He doesn't own that space anymore either.
No.
Everybody's doing that. But one of the interesting things I thought was that while making beer, they also have a long history of being a distillery.
I had no idea.
Yeah,
this
is one thing I learned too.
Yeah, because they're still doing it?
They're still doing it. As far as I know, they still make hard alcohols.
Huh, that's so crazy.
But I don't know how they market them. Like, can you just get Dogfish Head hard alcohols? I'm not quite sure.
Oh, you're right. I'm looking on their website. They make gin, vodka, rum. They make something called, this sounds super cool, Sonic Archaeology. It's like a pre-made cocktail with whiskey, rum, brandy, honey, lemon, and pomegranate juice. And you just literally just pour it over ice and it's ready to go.
Nice.
Yeah, I had no idea until we started doing research that they do distillery stuff like this. I'm going to try to see where it's available.
One of the cool things about the early food as well was that he wanted to kind of match the sort of rawness and of the beer he was brewing to, like, he wanted to match the food to that. And so they decided to do everything over wood, like grilled over wood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all wood grilled food. I mean, they literally have these two signs of homemade beer and wood grilled food.
Nice.
In the window of the restaurant, and those signs have been there for going on 30 years now.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool.
So this is about 2002 when they're starting to do distilling. And then in 2013, they opened an inn.
A hotel?
Yes.
Like right there? Next
yeah,
to
so in 2013 in downtown Lewis, I'll try to see if it's still there. They opened a base camp for both beer lovers and adventure seekers alike. Says they have good food and craft beer.
So you stay at the Dogfish Head Inn and go to the brewery. That actually sounds really cool.
It is still open. Oh my gosh, Steven, we gotta go.
We gotta go stay at the Dogfish Inn.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. They have like the photos. It looks like the photos in the rooms are like.
Is it like ghetto or what?
No, it looks nice. It's like pictures of their beers and stuff like that. It's really funny.
That's great.
They have 16 rooms. You will find style, quality, and craft throughout each.
They only have 16 rooms total?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's kind of cute.
It's like a bed and breakfast.
You know what it reminds me of is not quite as nice, but do you remember that documentary about those girls that make like that Instagram inn?
Oh, right. I don't remember.
It looks kind of like that. So imagine like a motel, so all the doors are outward facing, but it's kind of chic. They have like cool, there's like wood paneling for the that offers some shade, and then there's a cool like looks like a wood bench in front of each of the rooms. Yeah, it looks cute.
Nice. Okay, let's do it.
Now, the only question is this close to the brewery?
When we go to Delaware.
Yeah, because then you could be cool to stay there and then go do the tour. I'm assuming it's close to their brewery, but.
Well, if they're both in Delaware, I think they're close. Any two things in Delaware are close together.
It's 13 minutes from the brewery.
Yeah.
So we can stay at
on the other side of Delaware.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Delaware is pretty small. But yeah, that's really fun. Also, I looked, and the closest place that it looks like you can get, so they do carry Dogfish Head spirits at Total Wine, but Maryland was the closest state to California that actually has it.
Interesting. All right, cool. So our next beer trip is to Delaware, Dogfish Inn.
We'll stay at the Dogfish Inn.
All right, so let's talk about some of these weird beers they've made.
Yes.
Because I think this is the best part of this whole story. So one of the themes that goes through the whole history of Dogfish Head and Sam Calagione's brewing history is that he wants to look backwards in order to look forwards. So look back at the history of brewing and the history of what people brewed with, and then use that as innovation to look forward. And of course you had so many of the early American craft beer breweries doing that in a way, right? You had Sierra Nevada's Pale Ale making an American style of an English pale ale. You had, Anchor Steam Beer making a beer based on, German steam beer, or on the other coast, right? You had a lot of Germans. So you had Sam Adams, you had Yingling, beers that are, making these really good craft German lagers. And so he wanted to do that, but he wanted to look way back and really dig deep into the early brewing history, and then just not just that, but what did people brew with, and how was the brewing history of thousands and thousands of years ago, how can that be recreated and incorporated into today's craft beer? So he looked back and he's actually worked with molecular archaeologists to figure out what beer ingredients these people were using. So they make four beers. One they make year round, which is called Midas Touch. That one is, I can give you a little history on this one. So in 1957 in Turkey, they discovered a tomb. When they opened up that tomb, it was basically the equivalent of when they opened up King Tut's tomb. They found a body of a 65-year-old male. They actually aren't quite sure whether it's King Midas from the time or his father. They actually don't know, but it's one of the two. He was laying on a ton of beautiful purple linens, and then surrounded by almost 160 different drinking vessels.
Wow.
And so yeah, so basically what happened is that most likely they had a big celebration and feast for his like a celebration of life kind of thing. And then when they buried him, they just buried him with all the leftovers, and it's supposed to he can take that to heaven with him and feast on it for eternity. The cool thing about this is that they were able to take these vessels and analyze them and figure out exactly what was in these drinking vessels. What was interesting is what came out of it was kind of a hybrid. So they were able to find some yeast, and they were most likely from grapes, so probably a wine, but they also found traces of barley, like a barley malt beverage, and they also found honey. So this was basically some sort of mead, beer, wine hybrid.
Yeah, they basically describe it as somewhere between wine and mead. Our original ancient ales made with exactly what you said. Barley, honey, white muscat grapes, I think. And then they just threw in saffron because they said it was locally available. And I don't know if they actually identified it, but they assumed they would have used that spice.
Yeah, another assumption was one of the reasons that Midas, the whole King Midas, everything we touch turns to gold, is they believe this beverage was also very, very yellow. Okay. Another reason why they think that saffron may have been, was most likely the spice of choice, was because it gave it a yellow color.
That makes sense.
So what's interesting is this archaeologist named Patrick McGovern, he decided that he was going to challenge microbreweries to brew this beer, to reverse engineer this beer and brew it. So at a celebration called Roasting and Toasting, and it was a dinner in honor of Michael Jackson, the beer author, he basically laid out this challenge there were a lot of brewers in attendance, and he laid out this challenge saying, hey, I want you guys to reverse engineer this beer and brewer and send it to me, and I'll decide who does it best. Well, guess who did it best? Sam Calagione from Dogfish Head.
The guy who added cherries to his first beer in violation of instructions. Yeah.
Yep, he ultimately triumphed with his beer called Midas Touch.
They still make that today.
And they still make it, yeah. That's the one of the 4 sort of old ancient styles that they make year round. So the other 3 are one called Chateau Jiahu. That one they say is the oldest known fermented beverage recipe from China. It was found in a 9,000-year-old tomb in China.
I like how they're finding all these beer recipes in tombs.
Yeah. That one is made with hawthorn fruit, sake, rice, barley, and honey. They make one called Theobroma. That's another collaboration with Patrick McGovern, the molecular anthropologist or archaeologist. That one is brewed with honey, ancho chilies, ground annatto seeds, cocoa nibs, and cocoa powder. That sounds terrible.
These poor fools didn't know what hops were yet.
They also brew 2 other beers, a Ethiopian-styled Tej, apparently is how you pronounce it. That is a honey wine. They use a ground geisho tree as the bittering component, not hops. A dry wine-like character with hints of licorice and star anise.
That actually sounds pretty dope.
Yeah, that actually sounds good.
Okay.
And then Sahti. That is an ancient ale from Finland, from the 9th century Finland. That one is the weird one where you have to heat up rocks.
Oh, okay.
And you use the hot rocks to boil your wort and caramelize your malts. And then they went ahead and flavored it with black tea as well. So that's a ancient style that they kind of modernized as well. Changed the recipe, just like tweaked the recipe a little bit and used the black tea. But yeah, so you can see very quickly that he does not care about brewing anything that's conforming to the norm at all. He is just experimenting. I'll give you the best example. I'm watching this video and he's brewing this beer and I'm trying to figure out what it is and he keeps calling it Scrapple.
Okay.
So he's adding this Scrapple to the mash and I just keep trying to figure out like what is Scrapple? Well, apparently, so they were brewing this breakfast stout, and so he used, I think, maple syrup in it, and then he was putting Scrapple in, which is this pork sausage-like stuff, but you like mix it with wheat and barley, and then you kind of make a loaf out of it, and then you cook it. It's like a really bad Spam almost. It's like a wheat pork loaf.
That sounds nasty.
But it's very common in like New England. So if you were from Delaware, you would know exactly what he's talking about. And they use it sort of like it's breakfast sausage. And so he was putting it into the mash. And it was great because you got to like see him drink the wort to like see how it is. And you could tell by his face like
he didn't like it.
Yeah, it was just sort of like, oh yeah, it's kind of smoky, kind of good. Like, you know, he didn't drink it and was like, oh yeah, this is it. We figured it out. It was definitely like, okay.
The perils of wild experimentation.
But yeah, so I love that. But yeah, just not afraid to use weird stuff in his beer. Yeah.
Sausage beer.
Scrapple.
Okay, can we talk about the coolest beer they ever brewed though?
Yeah, let's do it.
Pangea. Okay, first of all, this sounds nasty. But they were like, in true Dogfish Brewing, I feel like this is like the essence of Dogfish Head. They were like, first of all, just to reference Pangea in the first place is pretty baller. Like,
yeah, it's awesome.
How many millions or billions of years ago, and like there was only a single landmass on Earth?
250 million years ago.
There you go, 250 million years ago. So they were like, we're going to use an ingredient from every continent. So they had crystallized ginger from Australia, water from Antarctica, like that must have been so expensive, basmati rice from Asia, muscovado sugar from Africa, quinoa from South America, European yeast, and then North American maize. So that's why I was like, was this good? Like, these are some wild ingredients. But what a cool beer. It's like, I don't know, has an ingredients from all over the world. Unfortunately, I don't think they make it anymore. But I don't know. I thought that was like such a cool thing to do. Like it's so off the wall and like so silly. I don't know. It was just such a fun idea.
I just love the idea of sitting around being like, yeah, you know, like when the Earth was like all this one continent.
Yes, exactly.
Like, what if you just brewed a beer that you would have brewed back then because all the continents were together?
It's such like a gold stoner idea for a beer.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so great.
Unfortunately, I think we missed it. It looks like it's
I think
tired. It looks like they made it in 2003, so I don't think we'll be getting our hands on any of that.
no. Add it to the white whale list.
It's the time travel white whale list.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That just like really stuck out to me. So when we were doing our research, the second I read that, I was like, okay, these guys are so cool.
Yep.
And then I guess we should talk about probably the best beers they make, in my opinion. So I will like the one caveat. I do like Dogfish Head, but I think I told Steven in the pre-recording. I feel like every beer they make is like a B plus because they're good, but sometimes I think like their insistence on using like one weird ingredient sometimes like almost holds them back a little bit. But that being said, their 90-minute, 60-minute, and I haven't had it yet, but the 120-minute IPAs are actually fantastic. And I love the story of Sam apparently was watching a cooking show, and he saw that on the show the chef was adding pepper to soup, like a little bit at a time. So he's like cooking the soup, adding a little pepper. Then, 10 minutes later, he has a little pepper. And he's like, I'm going to make an IPA like that. Like, because traditionally you pitch I guess pitch is the word you use with the yeast, but you add hops at different windows. But they're very like discrete windows. Like
Right, yeah, you're just like at 30 minutes of the boil, add a half an ounce of Hallertauer hops, like at this amount of time, add your Citra.
So like in a harebrained idea, there's not even like logic behind it, I think. And not to disparage Sam, he's obviously some weird creative genius, but like I like how he just saw like, oh, this chef is like adding pepper over the whole course of the cooking. I'm just gonna add hops like that. Like no rhyme, no reason, just gonna add hops like that. And so he like jerry-rigged. What is it? It's like a football game?
Yeah, so apparently there's this old, I think it's like 1950s, 1960s game, like a tabletop game. And it's basically looks like this football field. And I think the point is like you put the pieces on the field and then you turn this thing on and it like vibrates. And so the vibration and the chaos of the vibration, like the pieces move around. So I guess you just win by luck that your pieces move the right way. I don't know exactly. But he like got inspired by this vibrating football game and he's like, well, so he bought one off of somewhere, some novelty store. And he's like, okay, I think if we like hang this over the brew kettle, the boiling kettle, and then like put the hops on there and like slowly just sort of pour hops on there, then the hop pellets kind of like vibrate down and then they just sort of vibrate off kind of like in a chaotic fashion, but just sort of continuously sort of vibrating off this.
Yeah, it's a controlled release.
Yeah, into the brew kettle. And then you could just do that like continuously for however long. And so the greatest part of the story.
This is madness, by the way.
Is that while he's doing this, like all this hot steam coming off the brew ends up like destroying the mechanics of this thing. So I think he was only able to brew like 2 or 3 batches with this football game. But then he kind of like that sort of made them develop some other
a more permanent solution.
Yeah, to the continual hopping of the beer. But yeah, I just love the like vibrating football game. And actually, the Smithsonian had a gallery that opened in like October of 2019, I think. And it was a sort of a beer history of brewing, and in the section that was about the like American craft beer revolution, they asked if they could put that vibrating football game in there. So I think that, and then his whole sort of very like first primitive brewing setup was all put in the Smithsonian for this gallery.
Propane. His propane stoves, yeah.
And he said he was pretty honored to have that stuff, like especially in the same building as some of the like ancient stuff, like kind of what he looks back towards for inspiration anyway, right? These like old
kind of fitting
tombs, and it's kind of fitting
like
that
resurrecting all these old styles, so they kind of put him in there, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, so very cool.
Yeah, so I've had the 60 and the 90, but now after reading this, I'm inspired I gotta try the 120, which I think it varies between like 18 and 20% alcohol or something like that. So I'll have to do it on not a school night.
Yeah, 60, 90, 120. You see the 60 and 90 a lot. They made a 75, which was kind of I think kind of an anniversary special edition where they did a blend of the 60 and the 90 for the 75 minute. But the 120 I know was kind of funny. It sort of bucks the tradition too of not aging IPAs. And it actually says age as well on the bottle. So a lot of people, when they get the 120, they store it away.
Gotcha.
But it's so heavily hopped.
Well, yeah,
and such high alcohol that it's gonna be pretty stable, shelf stable for a while.
Well, yeah, and not only do they, when they do the 120, not only do they, obviously it's 120 minutes of adding hops the entire time, but then if that wasn't enough, after that I think they dry hop it for like 30 days. Yeah, it's insane. I almost speculated. We were talking in the pre-roll. I mean, we always refer to the hop wars, where like people were trying to make the most bitter beer. And I feel like maybe Dogfish Head just ended that war with I don't know if the timeline lines up, but
that was like the nuclear bomb.
Yeah, they like nuked the Earth. They're like, no one's ever gonna top this. Because it says
like, let's just end this war right.
It says it's 120 IBU.
Yeah.
Which that's insane. Because even Hoptimum, which we did confirm, used to be 100 IBU. But
it's lower now.
Yes, they changed the formulation and it's like 70. It's still really good, actually. I think it's excellent. But I think 120 minute IPA is still 120 IBUs, so they have not backed down. So I think you can generally get this. It's pretty widely distributed, I think. So I'll try to get one.
At this point, would you expect Dogfish Head to back down and change that recipe?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay, so anything else to add on the 120?
No.
So another beer that they brew that's pretty successful is Sequench Ale.
Mm-hmm.
It is a mashup beer of a Kolsch, a Goza, and a Berliner Weiss. So they take these three beers, they brew them in sequence. So that's why they got the name Sequench. They brew them in sequence and then add them together. The C comes from the sea salt because they use black limes, sour lime juice, and sea salt to brew the beer. Black limes, of course, not green limes. Because they have to use weird stuff.
They have to do something weird. They couldn't just use regular limes.
I mean, I think just the fact that they were blending a Kolsch, a Goza, and a Berliner Weiss is weird enough, but no.
That would have been enough. But,
no. And then the quench comes from, they were basically, their goal was to make the most thirst quenching beer ever, like almost like a sports drink. So one of their claims is that there are more electrolytes in this beer than there are in Gatorade. So angling towards drinkers with an active lifestyle that want a refreshing beer. You know, I've read that beer is like one of the best post-workout drinks.
Really? Beer is?
Yeah. And as soon as I read that, I decided not to read any more.
Yeah, just...
And that was going to be my...
Implement it into your life.
No more research into that
All
area.
research is
yeah,
done.
I'm gonna call that.
I mean, I guess
That's determined science.
Getting
No more
calories.
experience needed to be done. No more research in that space. Okay,
This
I
beer's right
I
for you.
agree.
Treadmill to the beer. Well, they do those runs where like you run and you end the run at a brewery.
Yeah, you get a beer at the end. Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Especially Sequence Ale. You end at Dogfish Head, get some Sequence Ale,
Okay, this is what we're
rehydrate.
gonna do, Steven. We're gonna stay at the Dogfish Head Inn. And
Okay, we're gonna-
run to the brewery. And then it's 12 minutes by car, so it's probably like an hour run. And then we'll drink Sequence Ale right when we get there. We'll be like dripping sweat.
Yeah, we're probably not gonna do that.
I hate running so much.
Hey, I like to run. Actually, I signed up for a half marathon, running a half marathon in December. So
I would ride my bike.
yeah, I know you're a cyclist.
Yeah, I used to be. Now I'm lazy. Now I'm a sit-in and chairist.
Yeah. Well, so a lot of what I do is for exercise is strength training, and so this is kind of giving me a goal to get back out to, because I used to run a lot, and I have not run for distance in a long time. So this is kind of my goal to get back on the road, run for distance a little bit, do a half marathon, and then stop
And then
running
drink beers at the end.
for a long time. Yeah. Oh, of course. My goal is to break 2 hours this time.
Okay. Is that pretty fast? I know nothing about a half marathon.
So it's a pace of about a 9 minutes 6 second mile, I think is the pace
And it's 13 as a half?
for 13 miles. Yeah.
That's a lot. I can't even run 1 mile in 9 minutes.
Yeah. And my fastest half was closer to a 10-minute mile pace.
Okay.
So
You gotta shave like
shaving
15 minutes off.
shaving
Yeah.
shaving a whole minute off of every single mile it's a lot.
Impressive.
Like that's a lot of time. So it's going to be a big challenge. But I think if they have these pacer runners,
Yeah.
and if
So
you just
I
run
did
with
do-
them,
Yeah. I do. Those people are freaks of nature. Like, are they using something or they just literally know how to run?
I mean, they probably have a watch. They probably have a.
I don't understand how those people are incredible. Because I did do 5Ks and 10Ks, so I have done some running.
Yeah.
And they did have the pacers. So like, and it's like the 6 minute, the 7 minute, the 8 minute, the 9 minute, the 10 minute, and they just run like that perfect pace.
Yeah. I mean, if you run like for a living or that's like your main thing,
You can pace yourself like that.
yeah, you're pretty good at figuring out how fast you're running.
Mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So do you want to get up to modern times with Dogfish?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple things that happened recently. So they did get acquired by Boston Beer. I guess.
That was
Sam-
2019.
Yes, I think 2019. Sam and now I'm gonna forget his name.
Coke.
Yes, Coke.
What's his first name? Jim.
That's the one.
I was gonna say Greg, but that's Stone Brewing's
Oh,
Greg
okay.
Coke. Jim Coke.
Yeah, they go into talks and they acquired Dogfish Head for a cool $300 million.
They've been friends for a long time.
Okay, yeah.
Friends for a long time. Breweries
Steven,
from the
we've
same
been-
area.
We've been friends for a long time. Do you want to buy
What would I
from-
buy from you?
for $300 million?
Have anything worth 300 million?
No. The podcast. No? Okay.
No.
Anyways, $300 million. Sam and his wife convert their Dogfish Head stock into Boston Beer stock because who needs $300 million in cash?
Nah.
And that makes them the second largest non-institutional owners of the merged company.
Nice.
Crazy.
Congratulations.
You started making beer with Bunsen burners. Sorry, propane burners. And now you are the second largest owner of, non-institutional owner of Boston Beer Company.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I will say I think it is a really cool story because of the beer he was making and the beer that they continue to make. Like they just make weird stuff. Like it's weird stuff, and yet they've been able to thrive.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's really cool. Obviously, they make a hazy IPA. It's called Hazy O. I don't know. They make some generic styles, but not a lot. You know, like everything they make is a little bit weird. It's a B plus according to Jason, but
yeah, I've never fully blown away by Dogfish Head. I think their beer is solid, but it's not, to me, it's not like, I don't get excited when I see Dogfish Head in the grocery store.
yeah.
If they make something new, I'll usually try it. Like I remember when Sequench Ale first came out, or at least the first time I saw it, I tried it and I was like, okay. But like I would still drink Anderson Valley Briny Melon over it 100 times out of 100. Yeah.
Yes. You know what's funny is I'd never had it before until we tried it at the beer festival.
Oh, okay.
While he was talking, because we saw Sam Calagione talk at the beer festival, while he was talking, they poured Sequench Ale for us to try, and he talked a little bit about it. I'm pretty sure that's the first time I ever had it. And
you should give it you need to give it a full chance. Like,
yeah, I mean, it was good.
It's solid. It's just not like, I don't know. It's good. I don't know. It's solid.
Yeah, I will say, like, I think it could definitely be one of those beers. Now, not that either of us really ever do this. We are just talking about how we're not sure we're going to make it through a 6-pack of the People's Pilsner. But it would be one of those beers that you could have, and you could have a 6-pack of it,
yes,
or a 12-pack of it,
actually,
and just grab that and just drink it. Like,
that's high praise from us. I think if I had a 6-pack of Sequench Ale in my fridge, I'd be pretty happy to grab one. If I just was like, oh, I want a beer, I'd be pretty happy. It'd be close, but not quite as good as having a 6-pack of Briny Melon Goza.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then the last thing I want to say, at least from my research, kind of funny because we've been talking about this like nonstop, and even Sam at the Beer Fest kind of said, if you're a new brewery, focus on local sales. And I wonder if when he said that, in the back of his mind, he was thinking about their 2021 expansion to Miami, where they opened Dogfish Head Miami, and they're closing it in 3 weeks. So it lasted about a year, but they just said the overhead costs, which is crazy because I was doing a little research and just looking it up, Dogfish Head Miami, and it has amazing reviews. Everyone loves it. It looks really awesome, but it just seems like it is not the time to be expanding your brewery, even if you're someone as, legendary as Dogfish Head. I don't know what's going on, but like...
Yep, Stone was doing the same thing. Modern Times is doing the same thing. You cannot do it.
So open one brewery, build up your local, sell local. You make the most profit selling local. Sell in the brewery. Sell cans to go. That's it.
Yeah. And, I mean, again, these breweries were, not only they have successful tap rooms, but they have really, really wide distribution. Countrywide distribution. And still trying to open tap rooms in other places was not successful.
Yeah, it's kind of mind-boggling.
I mean, I think it's a little different. Like, you go to the grocery store, grab the Dogfish Head. Like, if you're going to the grocery store, grabbing the Stone, like, that's a different thing than where do we want to, like, what brewery do we want to go to tonight? Like, go out to. Like, oh, go to this local, like, smaller one that, like, you like their beers on tap, but you don't get their stuff at the grocery store. You know what I mean? You don't think of it as, oh, let's go to the Stone tap room tonight, right? I don't know. Is it weird am I off on that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm probably the wrong person to ask because I don't like humans, and I'd rather just drink beer in my house or just with you, Steven. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the like what is the mindset of the people who are, because I don't really buy these beers in the store either.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine making a lot of effort to go to a Dogfish Head or Stone tap room in Austin, right? I mean, I don't know. I
don't know. Yeah, it is kind of weird. Like, you could just buy it in the grocery store. So why would you go to the brewery? And like, also you're competing with all the local stuff. And
yeah. So
it just seems like a really hard, really tough market.
Yeah, I think all these brewers are getting a taste of that. And COVID and all that stuff. Just
COVID definitely played a big part in it too. But I feel like, I still think part of it is just like the saturation.
Yep, for sure. So even Dogfish Head is not.
Yeah, even Dogfish Head can't open a new brewery. So don't you dare think about expanding yours.
Yeah, if you're making money, dude, where you're at, just
keep making money. Yeah.
hang in there.
Yep. Well, and I do wonder if like we'll see, because didn't we see like brewery numbers overall are declining a little bit? Like I feel like we hit peak saturation in like maybe even like 2019, like right before COVID. I don't know, we can postscript this, but and then I think maybe we'll see a reduction. It'll hit like a balancing point, but I guess it remains to be seen. Maybe hard seltzer will.
Hard seltzers.
Yeah.
Go away forever.
Go away. Leave us alone. We're trying to drink our good beers.
Hard Mountain Dew's coming out soon. So
go away. Go away.
We're gonna try hard Mountain Dews on the podcast.
Yes, we might as well. It's gonna be disgusting.
I guess we're gonna have to do a hard seltzer episode as well.
Why?
Because we have to do what the people want.
Can we call it "We Hate This"? That'll be the name of the episode.
You know what? We can be more Dogfish Head. Okay, we can just
or what do I
make our own path and do our own thing. We don't have to just bend to the whims of the market.
Our hundreds of thousands of idolizing fans.
Yeah. Okay. What do you text me?
I hate that.
Oh yeah, I hate that. Yeah, for some reason, every time I text Jason something, he just texts me back. I hate that.
No, not every time. Just when you text me bad stuff. Just when you text me like
about putting
marshmallows in it. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah. Yeah, Jason doesn't like marshmallows in beer. Boba balls.
No foreign matter in my beer.
Granola. You don't like granola floating in beer? You should try it.
No, thank you.
You ever tried it?
I can imagine it. You didn't even like that beer, so I don't want to hear it, sir.
Okay, the 17% stout is officially inside of me.
We gotta stop recording. So this has been attenuation.
Okay, no, don't end the episode yet. Don't end the episode yet, because now I'm on a roll.
Okay, let it roll, Steven. Let it roll.
Okay, I have to tell you about this week. Okay, if you're hanging with us this long, I'm so sorry. If you started the episode and you're like, he's drinking a 17% stout, like, oh, this is gonna get good.
This is the payoff here.
Yeah. You've made it. So I don't know why I agreed to this. Probably because it's my daughter asking. But my daughter's birthday party is this weekend.
Okay.
And she's doing like a carnival themed birthday, like a Halloween. Everyone's dressing up because it's right around Halloween. So she's having a Halloween carnival birthday party. And she was like, I really want a magician. And I was like, well, okay. Do you want me to do magic? And she's like, yes, I want you to be the magician. So I have a top hat and a cape and a tux. And I'm going to be the magician for my daughter's birthday party. Now, this requires that I open up my old magic case, okay, that I occasionally open up just to see if I remember how to do all this stuff. So I've opened it up again now, trying to quickly make notes of what do I have, what could I do, what tricks could I do. But I do have to so Jason and I used to really like magic. We did a few kids shows.
Steven used to do magic, and I was like his hapless sidekick.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
You were good at magic. I was.
What was the name of the ball that would float behind the thing?
The mummy ball, I think.
The mummy ball?
Something like that. Yeah.
That was great.
That was my only good.
Zombie ball.
Zombie ball. That's what it's called. Yeah.
Zombie
that was
ball.
my only good illusion. Everything else I was terrible at. Actually, no. I could do that one trick with the 4 cards and they change colors on the back.
Yeah.
I was pretty good at that one. But Steven's really good. He has an array of magic.
I have a lot of stuff, and it's kind of funny how long this stuff has lasted, and the knowledge of, because I'll open this up and be like, I do not remember how to do this, and then I'll be like, whoo, and I do it, and I'm like, man, muscle memory is a weird thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, I will be the magician at my daughter's birthday party this weekend. I don't know what my name is when I'm a magician, Steve-O the Magnificent or something. I don't know. But that's what I'll be working on tomorrow on my day off. So I had to get nice and drunk tonight so I could just let all that magic You know what I hated is when I would say that I was into Magic, and people always assume it's Magic cards, Magic the game, Magic the Gathering, and I'm like, no, like Magic. You know, like Magic, like real Magic. I always was so annoyed by that.
All right, Steven, color aces.
Color aces?
That was my trick.
That's your card trick?
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's $15 on Amazon. I'm going to order it. I'm going to get a plane ticket. I'm going to attend your daughter's birthday party and do this one trick. You're
going to be the special guest?
And I'll just do my one trick.
That would be amazing.
There's a video on Amazon of it being performed. I'm going to watch it after we stop recording and see if I remember how to do it.
You do. I promise you do, because somehow I remember. Yeah, exactly. Somehow I remember how to do all this stuff. So that is my week. Okay, this is very stressful.
Nah, you're gonna do great.
Yeah, I haven't. I haven't had like a whole Magic routine like lined up in a very long time. So
yeah, remember we had music and stuff.
We had music. We were very, very professional.
So professional.
Yeah.
Now, do you still have that one?
And if by very professional you mean not professional at all?
No, we had music. That's professional.
Yeah.
Now, the best trick I remember you doing is that flying ball one.
The flying ball. Yeah, why is it always the flying balls that are the best trick?
Do you still have that one?
I do still have it.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Don't know if I'll be pulling it out for this Magic show, but I gotta go with this stuff that I know for sure will go well.
That's a high risk one.
Yeah, high risk, high reward.
Yeah. All right, I'm cutting you off, sir.
Okay, well now you have a glimpse into one of our other hobbies.
Yeah. Ancient hobbies.
Magic tricks.
Not Magic the Gathering, although I do play that as well.
A great party trick, by the way, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you hand me a deck of cards at a party, especially if I got enough drinks in me.
If you had a 17% beer.
And as long as the rest of the group
they've had two drinks, 17% beers.
Yeah. Guarantee their minds are they're gonna be like, whoa. They're gonna be like, this guy's drunk and he still got my card right. What?
Incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so you can reach us at contact.attenuation@gmail.com. Do you check that, Steven?
Every day.
There could be like hundreds of emails in there we haven't responded to.
No, there's no way.
There's zero. We're on Instagram at attenuation.podcast.
Let's be real.
And I posted a picture the other day of my People's Pilsner.
Loved it.
It was not as good as your photography.
It doesn't matter when I get I see like all these likes on Instagram, and then I'm like, that's not even my picture. And then
it is funny like sharing an account because like I go on there and post it, and I know you're gonna like check it later and be like, wait, where did this picture come from?
It's my favorite.
Yeah, I'll try to do more. I have a bunch of good beers, so I'll try to take pictures. So, but yeah, this has been episode 83 of Attenuation, a beer podcast. My name is Jason, and I'm joined by my best friend since 8th grade, Steven.
That's me.
We are saying cheers, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, if this isn't an endorsement for the Worldwide Stout from Dogfish Head, I don't know what else is.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Attenuation, a beer podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more fun content. Catch you next week. Cheers!